Here we go, for real this time. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another fantastic episode of the Marauder Morning Podcast. So happy you all decided to take the time, sit down with us, and talk a little bit of sports once again. And as always, I'm here with two of my favorite guys, Mark and Ryan. How are you guys doing this week?
Not bad.
Not bad?
Working away.
Last week it was maybe a little better than usual. This week, maybe not so good. Back at school this week. How's that feel?
Gotta keep grinding.
Gotta keep grinding. Mark? What did you say?
Should have done so much more work over the break.
Yeah. I think that's always the takeaway for everyone from reading week. Is that probably should have done more stuff and probably should have done less stuff as well at the same time. You never really know what to do with your week off, especially this year.
You would have thought by fourth year you would have it down.
Yeah, you'd have something figured out. Nope. You kind of just wake up around 2 and maybe look at some projects and think about them and then kind of go off and do something else. But that's school. It's not sports. We're going to talk about sports today. We got a lot of exciting stuff on the docket this week. Some great topics. We're going to start out by talking about the NHL's outdoor games in Lake Tahoe and how maybe that could be applied to some other sports and stuff like that. What that'll look like. Then we're going to talk about the Genesis Invitational. We're going on our third week straight with golf. We love it. Then we're going to go talk about, we're each going to pick a team in the NBA that we think could turn it around from where they have been in the first half of the season. That's open to interpretation. We've each got one, and we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to do a draft of athletes we think could play in other sports. We're going to give you the athlete and the sport, so stick around for all of that. It's coming up very soon here on Marauder Morning. Don't go anywhere. Guys, you ready to jump into our very first topic today?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Let's do it. Right on. We're talking about the NHL's outdoor games in Lake Tahoe. Let's go to Ryan. Ryan, just kind of tell us about where that all came from, how the NHL put this together, and what it looked like.
Yeah, so the NHL, they usually have an outdoor game that happens on New Year's every year. And that's usually against two of the most popular teams. They usually rent out a stadium, get all the fans together, and sort of have like an outdoor game. But obviously this year with everything being different, held at a different time, held in a different spot. And I kind of like it because it's held in a spot that doesn't need to accommodate fans. You only had to accommodate the players, and they set up a whole playground for them basically near Lake Tahoe on I think the 17th hole of a golf course actually. So yeah, I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, I love it. Just when you look at the photos are awesome from those games. You got Lake Tahoe right in the background. It was nice and sunny out. I understand they had some problems with the ice because it was a little too nice out, but they got the games in at nighttime. And man, it just looked great. It looked like a great place to be, great energy, a lot of fun. Yeah,
between Colorado and Vegas, they only got the first period out of the way, and then obviously they had to cancel play and figure out what they wanted to do. So Gary Bettman, he comes down and he gives his official word, and they just moved it to midnight. So basically, the players get undressed, they go do their own thing. And then come back once it's dark, and even it being dark, it was still lit up really nice. I think it was great. And Colorado ended up winning, so that was a big plus. McKinnon went end to end for that one goal, so that was nice.
Yep. Love to see it. Our guy Nathan McKinnon putting in work over there. Yeah, I love it. I just love the whole look and feel, and I think especially during COVID, I think this was such a interesting and creative way to play your games because hockey especially has zero fans. Sports like football, baseball a little bit, they're getting a trickling of fans in, but I really like this idea of just having games outdoors where it looks like backyard hockey. I thought it was cool. I think hockey deserves to be played outside. It's an outdoor sport. When you think of hockey, you think of ponds and lakes frozen over and, guys on their skates, just playing a little bit of shinny, as Mark likes to call it.
Shinny.
Yeah. So I really like it. I'm a big fan.
I was gonna ask you guys. So this year, obviously it's different. Usually, what they'll do is they'll rent out like football fields, and then they'll put an ice there, and then they'll accommodate the fans and everything. But obviously, this year they did it Lake Tahoe. They didn't need a space for fans. So I was just wondering, would you guys want to see more of that? Like, would you want to see them go on like, I don't know, another big lake, somewhere in Alberta, somewhere in wherever you can find it, Colorado even, where you don't need to set up the fans, and just put everything online like it was this time.
Mark, you want to go at this
Lake Louise?
Oh,
Imagine playing hockey
anything
in Lake Louise in Alberta. That'd be crazy.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Views on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool. I mean, like, I played shinny once, and it was in like a pond in Ancaster, and just being outside and like playing hockey just felt so like Canadian and so like genuine for the sport. So yeah, I think it'd be dope if they played more outdoor games.
Yeah, I would totally be down for that. I think they should find every patch of ice they can find in the world and just play an outdoor hockey game on it. I think you paint the lines and drop the nets and let everybody go at it. Yeah, I think they should do this all season if they could. I mean, it's obviously, not going to work setting up and tearing down one of these setups every single week. But, yeah, play it in the woods. Play it in the middle of the woods on some pond.
Why not?
I am totally down for that. The other, I think they could do this in other sports, too. I think of, like, I don't remember when this was, but it was a bunch of years ago that Army and Navy played a basketball game on the deck of an aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
And like that was awesome. And you could think of NBA games being played in outdoor courts. You could set down some hardwood on Rucker Park up there in
That'd
New
be
York.
cool.
Play some outdoor games like that. In the NFL, you could plow down a cornfield. I've been saying this. I've been talking to my dad saying the NFL should have just plowed down some cornfields and played football that way.
If you build it, they will come.
If you build it, they will come. Good movie quote. Nice.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah, I think they should do this in every sport. Why not? Especially right now. I mean, it's not going to work when you have fans because that's your money-making machine. But when you got no fans, get creative. And I give big props to the NHL. This was a big, if you want to look at it from a business standpoint, I think this was a huge marketing win for the NHL, a league that has traditionally not been very present in the marketing world. Just the photos on social media, I think was a huge boost for the NHL. And I think other leagues should be looking at stuff like this. What do you guys think of that?
I know I listen to a podcast, Spitting Chicklets. I don't know if you guys have heard of them. But they were, they were just popping off. They basically going with what you said, Duncan. They were saying if you can find a piece of ice, you can find two nets, and you can draw the line somewhere, do it. If it's got a nice backdrop and you can play without anyone getting hurt, why not? And go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, hockey's so nice because, I mean, you're just looking for ice, right? Like, and it's everywhere. So, football, you kind of need the goalposts and the yada, 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 and a nice field and whatnot. And, with basketball, you probably need the nice hardwood, which might be a problem. But
And with hockey and there not being any fans this year, they were talking about it. Like, they had to obviously delay the game, like, I don't know what it was, like 9 hours or something. But like, you delay the game, and because there's no fans, you don't have to worry about anybody requesting a refund or anybody getting pissed off that they had a flight back like the hour after. It's whatever. You're just accommodating the players, but they're gonna play whether it's 3 a.m. or 3 p.m. or midnight or noon. So
yeah, and it sounds like it was a bit of a ratings trouble for them, maybe. But yeah, I think if they were to do more of this stuff, they'd probably get better at picking the spots, setting it up, and the more of this stuff you do, the better you'd become at putting together these events. And I don't see why not with a sport like hockey. You couldn't do this when fans are back, because hockey, again, going back to football, there's only 16 games in your schedule, so finding one to take out and do something like this is a lot more taxing. But a game like hockey with 82 games in the schedule, is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, 82 games in the schedule. You can take out one or two, and one of those games you don't think will be a huge ratings bump, or even take one of those games you think is going to be awesome and really shine the spotlight on it by putting it in a cool spot like that. And people will come and stand around the ice and watch the game. I don't see, if I was in Lake Tahoe this past weekend, there was no COVID, I definitely would have walked down to check it out, see what was going on, and try to catch a peek. So, it might not be the ticket selling monster that you want it to be, but it'll be a big marketing win, like I said.
Yeah. There's an article about fans that were watching from the water in boats.
Yeah.
And like they brought ladders to so they were able to see over the boards and stuff.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah, it was funny. Yeah, it was funny when they panned out to them. They were all just like in their little canoes, like just watching.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, stuff like that is great. People gravitate towards that stuff, and people love it. And me myself, not a huge hockey fan, but I was drawn to something like this. So NHL, keep it up, is what I would say.
Yeah, and the Philly and Boston game had a better outcome. Like they didn't have to delay the game. So I mean, clearly it works. You just gotta hope for the weather to be the best.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know, like I've said it a bunch of times, but I love this way more than the regular Winter Classic. The regular Winter Classic they've been doing the last bunch of years, where they, like you said, kind of stick it in a football stadium or whatever. It's cool, but you're not really taking the sport out of its element. You're still in the sports stadium, and I would just encourage the NHL to look at doing a lot more stuff like this. A lot more stuff like this.
I second that.
Yeah. Mark, you third that?
A third.
All right, a not so strong thirding from.
I would actually love to see Calgary versus Edmonton on Lake Louise. That would be pretty.
Come on,
Lake Louise is beautiful.
NHL, come on!
Sweet.
Someone at the NHL needs to reach out to Ryan, because he's had the best idea ever. Battle for Alberta on Lake Louise.
Yeah,
come on.
That
would be awesome.
That'd be sweet.
That'd be great. You play some Ottawa games. Maybe you could section off a section of the river, whatever that is.
Yeah, Rideau Canal.
Called. Yeah, the canal. Just a section off that people can skate by and watch the game. That'd be awesome. Cool. Maybe, I mean, there's a million different things you could do. Like we said, find a patch of ice, drop the nets, draw the lines. Let's play hockey.
Yep.
Yeah, right on. There we go. Yeah, ringing endorsement, I'd say, from all three of us on the NHL's outdoor game in Lake Louise. Way to go, NHL. Way to go, Colorado, on winning the game. Awesome stuff. All right, let's move it in from one sport to the other. I was going to try to tie hockey and golf together. I guess you both swing something. From one something swinging sport to another, we're going to talk about golf now. How was that for a segue?
I love it.
Probably not my best ever. But we're talking about golf. Here we are. We're going to talk about the Genesis Invitational. And once again, we're going to throw it over to our man, Ryan. Busy day for Ryan today. Tell us all about the Genesis Invitational.
Yeah, Genesis Invitational played at the Riviera Golf Course in California.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of fun watching this because Genesis was just sponsored by it everywhere. Tiger made a considerable donation to the game, and it's a little bit of an incentive from Genesis, because if anybody were to get a hole-in-one, you actually you receive a car. And I think Justin Thomas did it a couple of years ago. So I mean, you always want a hole-in-one, but it's just a little extra incentive to get that. For most of the week, or for most of the tournament, it looked like Sam Burns was gonna win it. He led Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and most of Sunday, but he didn't end up winning. Fun fact, though, Sam Burns actually did win the Honda Classic, and Tiger was playing at that tournament, and like the entire tournament, they were paired up. And he goes, "You look so familiar. Like what? Like why do I know you?" And he's like, "Oh, you actually like played with my dad, like Todd Burns." And so that was funny. So it's just funny to see like how connected like Tiger's now playing with like people he used to play with as a kid.
Right.
Yeah, it's just funny. And so going on with that, final day came. Big guys just couldn't do it. Obviously, Spieth once again, he was up there, couldn't make it. Dustin Johnson, he was in the mix and he couldn't finish. And then Sam Burns, he was leading by, I think, 3 shots at one point on the final day,
wow.
and he ended up one behind to go to a playoff with Max Homa and Tony Finau. But I mean, Sam Burns is a learning experience. The guy's only 24, so he'll take that and he'll get even better. The final day, Max Homa and Tony Finau, they both climbed up the rankings. I'm pretty sure Homa started off 8 under and Finau started off 6 under. So they had amazing days. Ended up in a playoff. They went through one hole. They both parred. And so they went to the next one, and Homa was able to edge out Finau. Again, these guys are 2 young studs. Just kind of the way the game is gravitating. And I guess it's not the same story as last weekend that I was talking about. The one guy, he had a house on Pebble Beach, but Max Homa, apparently he would come to the Genesis Invitational almost every year as a kid. He would drive an hour. He watched Tiger play in this tournament so many times. He would watch. One time it was raining, and everybody was leaving, and he goes with his parents and he's like, "Look, we either get a rain jacket or I'm going to get sick. Your pick." And so he finally was able to play in it. He won it, and he was able to get the trophy handed to him by Tiger. So even if you don't like golf, that's a pretty big experience.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does seem, you mentioned it, like we're seeing a lot of young guys kind of come up, and nobody's really stepping up in these last, nobody's sweeping it out. Koepka a few years ago, or Spieth a few years before that, or Tiger back in the day. Nobody's really locking these competitions up. Dustin Johnson had the Masters, but hasn't really come back since then. Spieth, like we mentioned, has been up and around there, but not a lot of super familiar names winning out these tournaments. Do you see that as indicator of what we're going to see later in the golf season, or do you think these older guys don't really give a crap?
I think the old guys will turn it around, but I think obviously the game's getting younger. These guys are getting more flexible, and they just understand the game in a different way and the way it's gravitating to. But as a sports fan, I kind of love it. Like in basketball, when Golden State's winning every year, it's boring. It's boring to watch. And like in NHL, when I don't know, Pittsburgh's winning like 3 in a row, like it's boring. Like I want to see every team win at least once, kind of thing. So it's nice to see Homa win one time, and then Koepka win another time, and then another guy win. It's not just Tiger, Johnson. So I don't know. Maybe it's just kicking off the rust, getting used to the new situation with COVID. Sure. But I mean, from a fan perspective, I love it. I love seeing different guys win.
Yeah, totally agree. Look, the Tiger thing was, Tiger's run was amazing for the sport and shot golf up to new levels when he was on his tear. But I think we're starting to see now is really the era of guys who grew up watching Tiger and are really following his example of actually being in shape. Back in the day, guys didn't really care about what they look like or how they trained. Phil Mickelson, I don't think has ever seen a bench press in his life, and he was out there winning championships. But I don't know. I like it. I think golf players are getting more like athletes. So there you go. Mark, any thoughts on the Genesis Invitational?
Not really.
No.
Not really.
All right, that's all right. Ryan, anything else you wanted to hit as far as Genesis Invitational goes?
Nope, not much. Just I'm sure Tiger feels pretty old at this point.
Yeah.
He was playing in this tournament, and he was playing with people's dads, and now like he's up with these kids, and like he's just like, oh my
that's
gosh,
crazy.
just wiping off the dust basically. So,
Yeah, it's the Tom Brady effect, right?
Yeah.
Every single week it seems like we hear a story about Tom Brady. Oh, he played with this guy and now he's playing against this kid, or this guy he used to play against is now the coach, or
Yep.
Tiger's getting to that age certainly. And yeah, before we go, we're deciding whether or not to talk about it before the show, but I think we'll just send our best wishes over to Tiger Woods. Obviously involved in that accident. We don't have any information or anything like that, but we're just all sending our best wishes over to a legend, Tiger Woods, a guy we all appreciate very much, and hope he gets well soon.
I hope you're doing okay.
Yeah, that's all we want to say on that. And with that, we'll move into our next thing. On to thing 3 of 4. We're talking about NBA teams who we think could turn it around. Teams that may not be very good, think they could get better, or maybe teams that are really good we think could get a lot worse. Let's go to that. Any of you guys want to volunteer to go first? No?
You can start off.
All right, I'll start it off. Thanks, guys. All right. My team, I think, could turn it around. I'm going to go with the Washington Wizards on this one. And this is one I'm actually not sure of myself, and I kind of had to talk myself into, because you hear a little bit of buzz around the Wizards are getting a little better. It's starting to come together, and it's kind of a hot topic right now. But I'm going to give you the real reasons why I think the Washington Wizards could be at least a little better. They lost 8 of 10 to start the season. Just a horrible stretch to start the season. And they've been kind of up and down ever since. They had 6 games postponed in the middle of their season so far. Just a big chunk of time to take out of playing basketball. But recently, on the up and up, they've won 5 out of their last 6 games against teams Boston, Houston, Denver, Portland, LA Lakers. Maybe save for Houston. I think those are all teams that we would all consider solid playoff contenders. Some really nice wins there, and they lost a pretty close one to the I almost said the Chargers, the LA Clippers. Same. Just what has worked so far. Russ is coming along. It's slow. It hasn't been spectacular or anything like that. It's not his OKC years, but he's coming along. He's scoring the ball. He's doing all the things you expect Russell Westbrook to do. And Bradley Beal is just playing out of his mind. Of course, all-star starter, has been scoring at an amazing clip. One of the best, maybe the best scorer in the NBA as we sit here today. The only thing, well, 2 things. The D has to get better. That defense is horrible. We're talking about teams like Brooklyn having great offense, bad defense. Washington Wizards are kind of a microcosm of that effect. They've got a very good defense, or a very good offense, and a very bad defense. So that needs to get shored up. It doesn't hurt that Thomas Bryant went out with an ACL injury earlier this month, which is a big defensive loss for them. And they've got a nice supporting cast around the starters, guys like Davis Bertans, and we'll see what rookie Denny Avdia can become down the stretch here. Not super encouraged by him so far. And then the bench depth. Bench depth is always something I look at. It's a concern. Just who are you putting on as your second unit? And the Washington Wizards do not have a nice one. What do you guys think? Do you agree with me? They're only 2.5 games outside of Chicago is the 8th seed right now, and they're 2.5 games behind them. That East is wicked. Going to be a crazy race for that 7th and 8th seed there in the East. What do you guys think? Do you agree? Washington Wizards, can they bring it back, or are they doomed for the basement?
Yeah, I would say it's not a bad pick. I mean, they're on a pretty good winning streak right now. And Beal and Westbrook obviously have, like, they're really good basketball players. I mean, like, against that game against the Lakers, I mean, they showed that Like when you need a bucket, they can get a bucket, and that's what you need. But yeah, looking at the teams that are above them, like from the 7th to 12th seed, or even 13th seed, it's like super close. Like you said, like 2.5 games between each other. So yeah, there's like a lot of young teams. Like Charlotte's there, Chicago's there,
Atlanta.
So yeah, I feel like a lot of it's up in the air in the East. So I wouldn't be surprised if Washington like pulled it together in the second half and made a good playoff run.
Yeah. The other side of that for me is I can see teams like Chicago, Atlanta having, maybe Indiana as well, having a significant kind of collapse here coming down the stretch. Just none of those teams have a real playoff pedigree. They've never been there before. And Washington doesn't either, but at least they have Russell Westbrook, a guy who's been to the playoffs, been deep in the playoffs, and Bradley Beal, a guy is committed to winning. Yeah, I wouldn't be necessarily surprised either if they were able to make that run. Ryan, what do you think? Washington Wizards.
Yeah, they really are a weak man's Brooklyn Nets. Good offense, bad defense. I would just hate for injuries to start tearing them up. Like I would hate for a Bradley Beal or a Russell Westbrook get injured. Knock on wood. I hope it doesn't happen because I love watching them play.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I hope they can keep up what they're doing. I'd love to see Beal get some playoff experience. I'd love for him not to be forced out of Washington because he doesn't want to ruin his career in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they're not the best team. They're not the worst team. And I hope they can just edge out the rest of the East.
Yeah. I think realistically we have to look at them as a team that's going to push for 6, 7, 8 seed, and 6 is kind of a stretch even at this point. The top of the East is really competitive with the Sixers, Celtics, maybe Brooklyn, teams like that. It's heavy at the top, the Bucks as well. So I think the fight for those last few spots are going to be where Washington is in. And you mentioned it. If Beal or Westbrook has any sort of injury trouble or has to miss time, they're going to be in significant trouble. Yeah, but I think they're right there. I don't think this is crazy, where it might have looked a few weeks ago. Bradley Beal had his famous "we can't guard a parked car" quote. And maybe they still can't, but at least they can put up 140 on that parked car. So that helps, I think. Yeah, there we go. Washington Wizards. Best of luck to them. I'm kind of pulling for them to come on the spot. I really like Chicago and I like Atlanta and the other teams in those spots, but yeah, I'm kind of pulling for Washington. I'm like you. I don't want to see Bradley Beal have to leave Washington just because it's so bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He can only do so much.
Yeah. If they're a playoff contending team and then he decides to leave, that's one thing. At least they gave it a shot. But if he just has to walk away because they're so terrible, that would be unfortunate. All right, who wants to go next? You can't put it back on me again. One of you has to go. One of you has to go this time.
Yeah, I can go.
All right, Mark, take it away.
I think I'm gonna go with Miami.
Miami, good pick.
Yeah, they're in. What seed are they in right now? I think they're the 10th seed in the East. Jimmy Butler's been out for the majority of the season, and just looking at the roster, it's almost the exact same roster that they had when they made it to the finals last year. Once again, like lots of playoff experience. Eric Spoelstra has, coached the Big Three with LeBron and knows how to win. Obviously, it's early in the season, and they've had their struggles, but when you have Bam, Jimmy Butler, Hero, Duncan Robinson, and all those guys, like, I'm not going to count them out just yet. I don't see like Charlotte or Chicago really beating them out for those playoff spots. So, yeah, I think I just trust Jimmy Butler and his competitiveness and that Heat team to kind of pull it together.
Yeah. Heat is a great pick. Eric Spoelstra, our coach of the year when we did our award show, they are currently sitting in 10th, 14-17 record. And yeah, Jimmy Butler is the huge one. He changes that team when he's on the floor. Bam Adebayo is the only one I can think of who would be as significant maybe to that team's success. But I think Jimmy Butler is clear-cut the number one guy on that team and really the heart of the team. The only thing I worry about is I don't think they're quite as much as a surprise as they were last year with guys like Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson, Bam Adebayo, who were all kind of having this awesome breakout season all at the same time. And I think this year teams are more ready for them. But yeah, if Jimmy Butler comes back and can play consistently, I don't think there's any question that this team is a playoff contender. It certainly would be in my top 8 teams in the East. Yeah, you mentioned it. 7, 8, 9 right now is Knicks, Bulls, Hornets. And I don't think any of us would say that those teams are more talented or better coached than the Heat. Would you guys?
Yep.
Yeah?
No.
Nope. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, Heat is a great pick. I love that one. Ryan, what do you think?
Yeah, I love the Heat. I love watching Robinson and Harrow like switch turns and who's gonna pop off at the 3-point line.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, obviously Jimmy Butler, he's a huge part of every team he's played for. And I'd love to see Miami back in a playoff spot. So
yeah. How much, Mark? How much effect do you think those ugly City Edition uniforms have had effect on this team? The sideways gradient.
Those are probably the worst jerseys
Those are bad.
I've seen. Those are terrible.
So bad.
I'm not a fan. Their previous City jerseys were so fire.
I know, they were perfect. I
don't know what they did.
What did they have? They had the pink ones last year, I think, which were pretty cool.
Before that, it was like the light blue.
And then
it was like the white.
I thought they were gonna do like black ones with pink and blue. Those would look nice.
They have some black ones.
Do they have black ones?
They had all three. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I remember them having black ones, but
they should have just stuck with it.
What did they do? Why?
I don't know.
And the sideways gradient.
It
just makes everyone look weird.
It's like the Canucks.
Yeah, the Canucks is the Sprite can jersey.
Yeah.
Debuted a few nights ago. Yeah, just gradients in general need to be taken away from sports uniforms. Get them out of there. The Mavs one from last year was so ugly. This Miami Heat one, so ugly. Canucks one, ugly as hell. So no more gradients in sports uniforms, please. It just doesn't work. Except for, I really liked, do you guys remember the Jacksonville Jaguars helmets from a few years ago that were black and gold?
Yep.
Wasn't really so much of a gradient.
Yeah.
But those were cool. Syracuse used to wear similar ones as well. But I guess those went out of fashion and they went away. So there we go. That started as a Miami Heat conversation. And went into something else. Now it's up to Ryan. Bring us back to reality here. Who's your team that you picked to turn it around?
To turn it around is the Chicago Bulls.
All right.
I've mentioned them a lot lately. They're led by Zach LaVine and Kobe White. Mm-hmm. Zach LaVine's only 25 and Kobe White's only 21. So whether they turn around this season or they turn around in a couple of seasons, they're going to be crazy for a long time coming. Just looking at their roster, they're a really young team. So even if this season is a flop, call it what it is and rebound next year. I know my Finnish brother, Lauri Markkanen, he's been out for a while. Otto Porter Jr., he's been out for a while, but they're going to get them both back. So that's another reason why I think they're going to have a turnaround. And just mentioning Zach LaVine and Kobe White, those guys are popping off every night. Zach LaVine has been popping off for 40, 49 points, 36 points. And just looking at their schedule, you can't tell me they're not competing because they took the Clippers 127 to 130. They're beating teams that they probably have no reason to beat. And I mean, their next couple of games, they're winnable. I don't know if they're gonna win, but I hope the best for them. I don't know if they will do it, but even if they don't, they're gonna turn it around eventually. So
Billy Donovan is the coach there now.
Yep.
Another guy who's nominated for our Coach of the Year award. Bulls currently tied for the 8th seed with Charlotte. 14-16 record. I don't think it's crazy that they could pull ahead of the Knicks or the Celtics or the Raptors or even the Pacers. They could be the 4 seed by the time this is all said and done.
Yep.
But even if they're not, like you mentioned, that roster is so interesting. The way they've sneakily rebuilt this over the last couple of years. I think Wendell Carter and Lauri Markkanen is one of the more underrated front court duos in the NBA. And then Kobe White and Zach LaVine, like you mentioned, are one of the most underrated backcourts in the NBA.
And then they're all under 25.
And they're all under 25. Yeah, Lauri Markkanen is 23. I feel like it's so funny. All these guys, Zach LaVine, you feel like it has been in the league for 1,000 years, and he's only 25. Lauri Markkanen, 23. Wendell Carter's only 21. And yeah, Kobe White, 21 years old. So yeah, just an unbelievable ceiling on this team, and it's amazing they're doing as well as they are right now, and definitely could be in the playoff push. Mark?
Good pick. No, yeah, good pick. Zach LaVine's having a career year in, I think, points, rebounds. I think he's shooting better
Definitely.
from the field, free throw line, 3-point line. So, yeah, man, I don't know. I'm not really rooting for him to overtake Boston, but it's super tight in the East. Like, the bottom, 5 teams are super close. So.
Yeah. Just the East in general, it starts kind of, Sixers, Nets, Bucks are kind of in their own stratosphere, but even then, not really. And then it starts with the Pacers, who are 15 and 14, and then you go all the way down to Pacers are at 4. Sorry, the Wizards are at 13 with an 11 and 18 record, which is only 4 games behind that. So it's super close in the East. I can't wait to see how this shakes out. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun in the East coming up. All right, great picks, guys. Thanks for participating in that segment. Was that fun enough that you'd like to continue on to our next one?
Of course.
All right.
Do it.
Let's do it. Ryan said, of course, Mark. Do you don't feel like it's of course?
The energy's not.
You're just a let's do it?
Ryan's energy's at an all-time high today.
All right. Ryan's at a for sure, and Mark said let's do it. But we'll take a let's do it. That's totally acceptable. We're going on to our draft of the week right now. We're talking about athletes in what others? Hold on. Athletes that we think could play in other sports. What sport that would be? What position? We're using our imaginations this week, playing a little fantasy. Let's just jump into it. I think people will be able to figure out what we're doing. I'm not sure I explained that so well, but whatever. Who wants to go first? Volunteer. Mark.
I'll go first.
Yes. All right, Mark. Give us
How many picks do we have?
I don't know, 3.
Okay.
If we make it there, we usually get to around 3. So yeah.
Okay. First pick. I'm gonna go with my guy Derek Jones Jr.
Okay.
On the Trailblazers now.
Yeah.
Just from seeing many of his dunks and just the way he jumps, the way he swings his arms, his body type, I think he'd be a crazy volleyball player.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Set him up just down the pipe on the middle. Has like a 40+ inch vertical. Yeah. I think if he got the skills down, he'd be solid.
Yeah. I love that pick.
That's a good pick.
Yeah. I had something similar. I won't give it away yet, but man, yeah, you could take a lot of these basketball guys and stick them in a volleyball court. Be pretty hard pressed to go wrong.
Teach them how to bump and spike, and it'll be decent.
I think of like this wasn't on my list, but just popped in my head like Hassan Whiteside, maybe. He he exclusively blocks, so
sure, just stands there.
Yeah, I think it'd be good. He's got the practice. Yeah, Derek Jones, great pick though. I love it. Super long arms. I think he's like 44-inch vertical or something.
Damn.
Something crazy.
It's 40+, which is just stupid. Shouldn't be allowed. Ryan, what do you got?
For my first pick, I would choose Bryson DeChambeau playing baseball. Bryson DeChambeau is the most technical athlete I've ever heard of. I feel like he would take his mindset towards golf and he would transfer that over to baseball. And once he got swing mechanics down and ball speed and all that other stuff, I feel like he would be knocking balls out of the park 24/7. He'd be a great fielder. I feel like he would just dominate. And he went from a really tiny guy to a pretty big guy now. So I know he's got the strength to play the game. I'd love to see it. So, and it's kind of the same swing as golf. You kind of just got to lift it up a little bit more. So
yeah, that's an interesting one. I hadn't thought of that. Golf players in baseball. You kind of got to go from swinging down here to swinging a little flatter. But other than that, you got the back torque. You got your foot stance. A lot of similar stuff. That's a good pull, Ryan. I hadn't thought of baseball players.
The same type of workouts too.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I think those skills would translate nicely. Good pick. Starting off with two very, very good picks. I'm going to go for my first pick. I'm going to take Kylian Mbappe, and I want to play him at my slot wide receiver. Kylian Mbappe, 5'10". He's super fast. He could be your Tyreek Hill, your Julian Edelman kind of guy. You get him in. He's got really nice footwork, weaves in and out of people really nicely. Have him run those nice little short routes. Don't know if he can catch a ball. Has presumably never used his hands because he's a soccer player. But if we can teach him some hands, maybe teach him a little toughness, how to take a hit now and then. I take Kylian Mbappe as my slot wide receiver.
It's a very different sport.
Yes.
Man, they get touched on the ankle in soccer and you're screaming.
Yes. Yeah, it might take a couple of years before you can get him out on the field. You're going to have to teach him how to get hit. But, it's not so bad.
Mbappe.
Yeah, I'm taking Kylian Mbappe, slot wide receiver.
I was doing his celly if you were looking at me weird.
I didn't know what
his goal celebration.
I didn't know what that was.
I saw your face. I'm like, oh, he thinks I'm being weird.
What's up with Mark over there? He's like scrunching up. All right, good to know. Clearly, I don't know that much about Kylian Mbappe. I just know he's really fast. So that's kind of where that came from.
He is.
All right, Mark, your pick number 2.
Pick number 2? Dang. I don't want to go with a super basic one that everyone's been talking about. Okay, I'll go with Giannis.
Okay.
And I'll make him a soccer goalkeeper.
Nice.
I think he grew up in Greece.
Yeah.
There's some soccer stuff there. Probably knows how to kick a ball, but just the length and the space he can cover on that net, I think he'd be solid.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Soccer goalies are usually the tallest guy on the field, but that usually means they're like 6'3", 6'4". Giannis is like 7'2".
Yeah.
So
just touch each crossbar.
Yeah, he just hangs onto each side, and then I think that'd be perfect. Yeah, like you mentioned, grew up in Greece, so no doubt it was around soccer. I'm sure they had him in net as a kid. Can you imagine that 3-on-3 soccer team of Giannis, Thanasis, and Kostas and Antetokounmpo? That'd be if you were little Greek kids going against those three guys.
All the short Greek kids were like, "Go play basketball. You're too tall."
Yeah, that's how they got into it. They sent them away. I thought of soccer goalkeepers. I tried to think of guys who grew up in soccer playing countries. Either the Gasol brothers. Maybe we probably have a little experience there. Joel Embiid grew up playing soccer. I know that. Pascal Siakam as well. Lots of options out there, but Giannis is probably the best one. He's got that agility. Like we mentioned, we talked about this in our prep meeting earlier this week. Giannis came up as a goalkeeper. And mentioned if you take a guy like Taco Fall or even Jojo Embiid, those guys can't really move. They're big and they can hold their spot. But if you need them to dive for something, I wouldn't feel so awesome putting them in that situation.
Yeah.
Ryan, your second pick. Looking forward to it.
My second pick would be Mitch Marner playing golf. Mitch Marner has excellent hands. Some of the best in the league. He's constantly dishing out assists in the NHL. And I feel like it would translate really well to the golf game because it's all about hand-eye.
Mm-hmm.
He has experience. And I feel like if you're good with a hockey stick, you can translate over to golf. It's our pastime in the summer. So
that
would be my pick.
Yeah, a lot of hockey guys play a lot of golf in the summer times. Again, another translatable skill. You take your slap shot and you more or less kind of the same thing. A little different.
If you can line up the stick to the puck, you can line up a club to the golf ball.
Yeah, it's going somewhere fast. You don't know where it's going, but you take Mitch Marner and you let him swing at some golf balls, it's going somewhere.
Yeah.
Very, very fast and very, very far. I love it. This is another one, like the Giannis and goalkeeper. You could take a lot of NHL guys and probably throw them on a golf course, and they at least have the physical tools to make something happen. I love it. Another fantastic pick. We're doing great today. This is awesome. We're not done yet, though. My second pick, I'm gonna go with Julio Jones of the Atlanta Falcons, and I'm gonna make him play a little time on my shooting guard, maybe a little time at the 3, depending on what we're doing. He's 6'5",
Okay.
200 something pounds, and if you've been paying attention to Julio Jones over the years, you'll remember a few years ago, DeMarcus Cousins had a story. They asked him what the craziest dunk he ever saw was, and he said it was when Julio Jones dunked on me in college. So from that story alone, not college, in high school, that story alone, I'm taking Julio Jones. The jumping, another guy with a crazy vertical. I think Julio's got the body type, the athleticism. I don't know if he can shoot. Sure. But from this story, we've heard he can dunk. So, we drafted
Blake Griffin 2.0.
Yes, maybe. He's not quite that tall. But people drafted LaMelo Ball this year without a good jump shot. We bring him in, let him work on his jumper a little bit. I'm sure he's at least shot basketballs in the past. So he at least played in high school. So we know that. Got some history. Just putting together my scouting report on Julio Jones. I think he could be good at my shooting guard. What do you guys think?
Yep, that's a good pick.
Good pick? All right.
Yeah, never seen him play basketball, but I'm sure he did.
The cool thing about, for everyone out there, and you guys especially, should go look up the story of Julio Jones dunking on Boogie Cousins. There's no video of it that exists, but there is an audio clip that exists of it where you just hear someone jump
Screams.
And then the rim slam, and then a bunch of people erupted cheers. So you knew something happened, and DeMarcus Cousins said he got dunked on by Julio Jones. So I'm taking Julio. Mark was up first, so he's got the top of the 3rd round.
Oof. Dang. Okay. This is a spontaneous one. I just thought of this one right now.
All right.
But he's a soccer player. He's a little older now. Search him up, because I'm pretty sure none of you guys know who he is. But Adebayo Akinfenwa, he is super thick. He's huge.
Okay.
And he plays striker. And so if you toss him in, I don't know, as a running back, some Jerome Bettis vibes, running through people, just tuck the ball, I think he'd be gross. He's probably 6 foot, 270.
Oh, whoa.
Wow.
At least.
Whoa.
No, he's huge.
Wow.
He's huge.
Holy crap. For a soccer striker?
Yes.
270 pounds? Wow.
Get the exact 102 kg. What is that?
No idea.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's
Holy
102
smokes.
kilograms is...
I thought you were going to say he was 195. And that was
what? So he's 225.
Oh, okay.
225.
Still, that's good. That's nice.
270 time.
That's good running back size.
Yeah, no, he's thick.
All right. What was his name?
So,
Adebayo
Akinfenwa.
Akinfenwa. All right.
Yeah,
that's,
maybe in post you can add a picture of him.
Yeah.
He's a tank.
Oh, wow.
All right, we'll throw up a
he is
picture
a monster.
of Adebayo Akinfenwa on the screen right now so everybody can take a look at it. Yeah, all right. I like that. Nice. Out of the weeds. Good pull of inspiration from Mark there at the top of the 3rd round. It's getting interesting. Ryan, how are you going to follow that up?
I'm going to go with a pretty basic one. I think it's something people have been saying for years. I would put my boy Bron in football.
All right.
I think that guy can play any position. He can play quarterback. He can play defense, offense.
Anything.
Put him there. He's going to excel. It's LeBron James. He's got the physical tools. I mean, we see it in basketball all the time. He'll walk the court and nobody can touch him. And he's got an athlete's mindset, so I know he'd transfer over to football fine. And I think he'd be crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, played wide receiver in high school. As the story goes, broke his wrist and his mom made him quit. But yeah, who knows? I think he's probably a little big to be playing wide receiver in the NFL. He's 6'9", like 260 pounds. Man, if I don't really know what LeBron's physicality is like on a football level, but if he's really down with it, you could put him at defensive end and he'd be a little JJ Watt type guy, super long, get around the edge, sack the quarterback, or tight end. A lot of people have talked about him as a tight end. That's kind of the big one.
Tight end.
I don't know if he could block. I don't know if I trust LeBron to block.
Maybe like an Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah,
just more wide receiver type guy.
Out. Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, definitely. I mean, if LeBron James walked into my football team and asked for a tryout, giving it to him. But again, with the toughness, not sure. Can't take those muscle cramps onto the football field, LeBron. Nobody takes that. But yeah, good pick. I forgot to mention at the top, this was actually, draft was inspired by all the news of, this seems to be one of those stories that just comes out every 3 or 4 years and people get all, tussy about it every time. But people were talking about NFL teams having interest in LeBron James to play football for them a few years ago. Not sure how real that was, but I'm sure lots of teams would have brought him in for a tryout at least if he was out there.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Ryan's picking LeBron. Love it. For my third and final pick, I had Kevin Durant playing volleyball. That was my volleyball pick. I had Russell Westbrook at wide receiver. I think I'm going to go with Bo Jackson playing hockey.
Wow.
If you remember, this might be kind of a deep cut. Might not be either. But if you go back and look at the old Bo Knows commercial, the classic one, the thing in the commercial is it's Bo Jackson playing a bunch of sports, and then a professional athlete goes, Bo knows whatever. Everybody says Bo knows whatever the sport, except for when Bo Jackson is playing hockey, and then Wayne Gretzky goes, like he doesn't know hockey. So we know he knows everything else, but Wayne Gretzky says Bo doesn't know hockey. So I'd like to put the final nail in the coffin, put Bo Jackson on some skates. Maybe not today's Bo Jackson. He's a little old. A little chubby today, but maybe back in the day, I'd like to see if Bo does know hockey. I'd like to finally know the answer to the question that's burning in America's mind.
Does Bo know?
Does Bo know? There we go. More of a personal shot at Wayne Gretzky, but there you go. Let's recap the draft. Mark had Derek Jones playing volleyball, Giannis in goalkeeper, Adebayo Akinfenwa at running back. Ryan had Bryson DeChambeau playing baseball, Mitch Marner playing golf, and Bron playing football wherever, just anywhere and everywhere. I had Kylian Mbappe as my slot wide receiver, Julio Jones playing a little two guard, and Bo Jackson playing hockey. We'll say left wing. Why not? There we go. That's a show. And on that, we'll end the show. As I mentioned, we are on YouTube, youtube.com/Marauder Morning. We have a website, cfmu.ca. You can search us up. We're called Marauder Morning there. And we are on your FM dial, 93.3 if you're in the Hamilton area. And if you're not, go check us out on one of those other two things. We're everywhere. Guys, how'd you feel about the episode this week?
Great episode.
Great episode. Goes in the Pantheon.
Of course. Goes in the folder.
Right. Yes, goes in the folder on my computer. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me this week. It covered a lot of stuff. It was good times. And we will see everyone in the next one.